The vast chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with tension. Captain Henry Collins stood straight in his Blue Earth Diplomatic Corps uniform, watching the council members argue. For 75 years, humans had played by their rules. Today, that might end. "The motion to send aid to New Haven Colony is denied," announced the Luxian chairperson, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "We have more pressing matters." Henry's fists clenched. New Haven was a human settlement on the edge of council space. They had been sending distress signals for days, warning about increased Dracari activity near their borders. "Chairperson, with respect, 30,000 human lives are at risk," Henry said, keeping his voice level. "The colony's defenses cannot withstand a Dracari attack. We only ask for council peacekeeping ships to patrol the area." "Your request has been noted and denied," Captain Collins, the chairperson, repeated. "This council has determined the threat level is acceptable. Next matter." Henry walked back to his seat, jaw tight. This wasn't the first time the council had dismissed human concerns, but it might be the last. Ambassador Lisa Martinez, Earth's official representative, nodded at him grimly. They both knew what was coming. 3 days later, the news hit. New Haven had been destroyed. The Dracari Empire had swept through the colony world. 32,000 humans dead. No survivors. The emergency session that followed was merely a formality. Earth had already made its decision. Ambassador Martinez stood before the council, her face a mask of controlled anger. Representatives from all 27 member species watched in uneasy silence. "For 75 years, humanity has contributed to this council," she began. "Our technology, our crops, our medicines have flowed freely to all member worlds. Our fleets have protected your borders. Our scientists have solved your problems." She paused, looking at each council member in turn. "And yet, when we asked for your help, you chose to do nothing. New Haven's destruction was preventable. Those deaths are on your hands." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Zentari representative stood up, his scaled skin reflecting the chamber's lights. "Ambassador, surely this tragedy does not warrant such accusations. The council makes decisions based on..." "Based on what?" Martinez cut him off. "Based on how much you value human lives. The evidence is clear." She activated a holographic display showing the New Haven colony's final moments. Burning buildings, civilians running, Dracari ships in the sky. As of this moment, Earth and all human colonies formally withdraw from the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted. Some representatives shouted protests. Others sat in shocked silence. The Vesh delegate, whose small species had long relied on human protection, began to weep. Across council space, the withdrawal began immediately. Human diplomats, scientists, military advisors, all recalled to Earth space. Ships departed. Embassies closed. Trade routes shut down. At Outpost Gamma 9, Intelligence Officer Jack Rogers was deleting files when he found something strange. Security footage showed the Luxian chairperson meeting secretly with a Dracari agent 3 days before the New Haven attack. "They knew," Jack whispered, copying the file. "They knew and did nothing." As the last human ships left council space, Admiral Olivia Ward stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the border stations power down. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "we've received word from Earth. The withdrawal is complete." Olivia nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "Signal all ships. We're going home." Behind them, the first cracks in the Galactic Council's unity were already forming. Species that had depended on humans began making desperate plans. Others saw opportunity in the chaos. The galaxy had taken humanity for granted. Now it would learn what happens when humans walk away. And in the shadows, the Dracari Empire prepared to move into the power vacuum left behind. The Grand Council chamber had never felt so chaotic. 1 week after humanity's exit, emergency sessions had turned into shouting matches. The Zentari delegate pounded his scaled fist on the table. "Who will protect our outer colonies now?" he demanded. "The Drakari already probe our borders." Across the chamber, the small Calgorian representative rose on her forelegs. "My people have relied on human ships for defense for 30 years. Without them, we are exposed." The Eluxian chairperson's voice boomed through the hall. "Order. We must maintain order." But his authority seemed to be slipping away with each passing hour. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Olivia Ward oversaw the massive recall operation from her command center. Hundreds of ships appeared daily in Earth space, carrying human diplomats, scientists, soldiers, and civilians from every corner of the galaxy. "Status report," she requested, studying the holographic display of nearby space. Her aide, Lieutenant Sam Peters, checked his datapad. 83% of our people have returned to human space, but we're getting reports of Council customs officials delaying some ships. Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Send the 4th Fleet to escort any delayed vessels. No more human lives will be lost due to Council politics." On the agricultural world of Proxima Beta, the situation was growing desperate. Farmer Alan Wright stared at his failing crops. The terraforming equipment that humans had maintained for decades was breaking down, and no one knew how to fix it. "How long?" asked his wife Kate, her face lined with worry. "1 month, maybe 2 before the soil reverts," Alan answered. "Then nothing will grow here." Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds that had become dependent on human technology. Medical facilities ran low on supplies as human pharmaceutical companies pulled their products. Space stations struggled to maintain life support systems that human engineers had installed. In a secret laboratory on the edge of Council space, Dr. Benjamin Grant made a difficult choice. As the head of the Quantum Physics Division, he had been ordered to return to Earth like all other humans. Instead, he gathered his team. "I'm staying," he told the 6 scientists with him. "Our research is too important to abandon. If anyone wants to leave, I understand." None did. They erased their lab from official records and continued their work. Meanwhile, Jack Rogers, the intelligence officer who had discovered evidence of Council betrayal, stood before Ambassador Martinez in her office on Earth. "The footage is clear," he explained. The Eluxian chairperson met with a Drakari agent days before the New Haven attack. Lisa Martinez studied the evidence, her expression grim. "They wanted us gone," she said quietly. "But why?" The answer began to emerge 3 weeks later when Drakari warships appeared on the borders of the Vesh star system. The tiny Vesh, longtime allies of humans, sent desperate pleas to the Council. "The Council Defense Forces will respond," the Eluxian chairperson promised, but the ships they sent were too few and too late. From the bridge of his flagship, Drakari Commander Volk watched with satisfaction as his fleet moved unopposed into Vesh space. "The humans are gone," he said to his officers, "and with them, the only real military power in the Council. Begin the invasion." On Earth, Admiral Ward received the news of the Vesh system's fall. She turned to her tactical display, where dozens of red markers showed Drakari ships moving into formerly protected territories. "They were waiting for this," she muttered. "They were waiting for us to leave." In the United Earth Senate, debates raged about whether to intervene. "These aren't our problems anymore," some argued. "The Council abandoned us first," others reminded. While politicians debated, the galactic economy began its steep decline. Without human trade, markets crashed. Without human security, shipping lanes became dangerous. Without human innovation, progress stalled. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity had been holding it together all along. 6 months after humanity's departure, Council space was unrecognizable. On the once bustling trade hub of Station Arcadia, half the shops stood empty. Councilman Richard Simon walked through the dim corridors, his hood pulled low. Few knew his secret. His mother had been human, making him half-human himself. He entered a shadowy bar and slid into a booth where a nervous Zentari merchant waited. "You have the goods?" Richard asked quietly. The Zentari placed a small case on the table. "Human antibiotics. Last batch from my supplier. Richard passed over a credit chip with more money than he made in 3 months as a council representative. Same time next month. Impossible, the Zintari hissed. This is the last shipment. Earth's borders are sealed tight. This was the new reality. Human products, once taken for granted, were now precious contraband. Medical facilities across 14 sectors faced critical shortages. The advanced medical equipment, manufactured by human companies, began failing without maintenance. Medicines once mass-produced on Earth were now impossible to find. On Proxima Beta, once the breadbasket for 3 sectors, Farmer Alan Wright's prediction had come true faster than expected. The soil had turned toxic as the human terraforming equipment failed completely. Fields that once grew golden grain lay barren and dead. Governor Pete Nelson addressed the hungry crowd from a balcony. The council promises food shipments will arrive next week, he announced. They said that last week, someone shouted, and the week before. The crowd surged forward. Anger replacing hunger. Security forces moved in, but they were outnumbered. By nightfall, the governor's mansion was burning. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. The careful balance of the galactic economy had depended on human innovation and resources more than anyone had realized. In her office on Earth, Ambassador Lisa Martinez, now promoted to Secretary of Foreign Relations, reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Riots on 22 council worlds, she read aloud. Food shortages in 37 systems. The galactic credit has lost 60% of its value. Her aide looked troubled. Some of these worlds never even liked humans. Why are they suffering so much? Because, Lisa explained, humans built the foundation of their economies. Our terraforming made their food grow. Our reactors powered their cities. Our algorithms ran their financial systems. She set down the report. And now it's all falling apart. On the secret research station, where Dr. Benjamin Grant and his team had remained, progress continued on their quantum displacement project. If successful, it would revolutionize travel across the galaxy. Another breakthrough, Dr. Grant told his team as their latest tests succeeded. At this rate, we'll have a working prototype in months, not years. His colleague, Dr. Ellen Morris, looked concerned. Ben, if this works, it could give whoever controls it complete military superiority. Are we sure we should continue? That's exactly why we must, Ben replied. Better us than the Drakari. Unknown to them, their secret lab was no longer as secret as they thought. A council spy drone had detected their power signature. Back in council space, the first major bank collapsed. The Galactic Central Financial Authority, based on commerce algorithms designed by human programmers, could no longer predict market behaviors. As the news spread, panicked citizens rushed to withdraw their savings. In the council's rapidly emptying treasury chamber, the Eluxian chairperson faced grim reality. Our economy cannot function without human participation, admitted the council's financial expert. Their removal from the equation has created chaos no one could predict. We need humans back. The chairperson's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in distress. They won't return willingly after New Haven. Not unless. Unless what? Asked another council member. Unless we give them something they desperately want, the chairperson said. Information about who really ordered the attack on their colony. As hunger and desperation spread across council space, the truth became clearer each day. The galaxy had never stood on its own. Humanity had been holding it up all along. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal, the stars of the Pellerin system lit up with weapons fire. Drakari warships moved in perfect formation, their sleek hulls reflecting the distant suns as they closed in on the Council defense fleet. On the bridge of the Council flagship, Admiral Krav of the Zintari clutched the command rail tightly. Fire all batteries. Focus on their lid ships. His officers scrambled to obey, but their shots went wide. Without human targeting systems and tactical advisors, the Council ships were fighting blind. Where are their weak points? Screamed the weapons officer. The humans always knew. The battle lasted less than 3 hours. When it ended, 13 council ships drifted as burning wrecks. The Drakari fleet moved onward, unopposed, to the inhabited planets beyond. The Pellerin system was the third to fall in as many weeks. The Drakari Empire, long held in check by human military might, was expanding rapidly into the power vacuum. On the former human colony world of New Terra, Governor Michelle Peters addressed the gathered representatives of 7 other ex-colonies. "Earth has abandoned us to protect its home system," she said firmly. "We must protect ourselves. Today, I propose the formation of the Independent Human Alliance." The vote was unanimous. Across former human space, colonies that had once answered to Earth now banded together for mutual protection. In Earth orbit, Admiral Olivia Ward received the news with mixed feelings. The massive Terran defense fleet hung in space around her flagship, 1,000 ships strong. "The Independent Alliance wants military support," her aide reported. "Our orders are clear," Olivia replied. "Protect Earth and immediate colonies only. We don't have the resources to defend everyone." But privately, she wondered if they were making the right choice. Reports from beyond their borders grew worse each day. In a dingy bar on the edge of Council space, Commander Frank Hughes, once a respected officer in Earth's Navy, now led a different kind of operation. His crew of 20 former military specialists sat around him as he addressed the alien arms dealers. These shield generators came directly from decommissioned Earth vessels. Frank explained, patting the crates. "They'll stop Drakari weapons cold." "And what do you want in return?" asked the Mogduth merchant, his tentacles nervously twitching. Frank smiled coldly. "Rare minerals and safe passage. War is good business for those who know how to profit." Across the galaxy, human mercenaries like Frank found themselves in high demand. Anyone with human military training could name their price. Meanwhile, ancient rivalries flared into open conflict. On the border between Zinteri and Mogduth space, skirmishes had become daily occurrences. For centuries, humans had kept peace between the two species. Without that calming presence, old hatreds resurfaced. "They've crossed the neutral zone again," reported a Zinteri border guard. "That's the 4th time this month." His commander sighed. "Arm the defense platforms. If the humans won't keep them in check, we will." In his hidden laboratory, Dr. Benjamin Grant received a visitor he never expected, a Drakari scientist. "Your work has drawn attention," the Drakari said. "My government offers protection and unlimited funding." In exchange for exclusive rights to the technology, Ben guessed. The Drakari didn't deny it. "The galaxy is reshaping itself, Doctor. Old powers fall, new ones rise. Choose wisely which side you serve." After the Drakari left, Ben activated a secure channel to Earth, a risk he'd avoided taking until now. On Earth, Secretary Martinez presented the latest reports to the United Earth Senate. "The Drakari now control 27 formerly Council systems," she said. "Their expansion is accelerating. Military analysts predict they'll reach former human border worlds within months." Senator Paul Clark stood up. "And why should we care? Those aren't our problems anymore." Before Martinez could answer, an alert flashed on her pad. Intelligence had detected a Drakari fleet assembling near Earth's trade routes. The message was clear: humanity's isolation wouldn't protect them forever. The galaxy continued its slide into chaos, and the shockwaves were beginning to reach humanity's doorstep. The small ship approached Earth space without markings or identification. Inside, 6 representatives from different Council species sat in nervous silence. Their mission was both dangerous and desperate. "We're being hailed," said the pilot. "Earth Defense Force is asking for identification." Zorthak, the Eluxian diplomat who had once been a junior aide to the chairperson, stepped forward. "Tell them we request diplomatic sanctuary and an audience with Secretary Martinez." For 72 hours, the alien delegation waited in a secure facility while Earth authorities debated their fate. Finally, Secretary Lisa Martinez entered the room where they were being held. "You have some nerve coming here," she said coldly. Zorthak bowed his head. "We come without official council approval, Secretary. We represent those who believe the galaxy cannot survive without human participation." Lisa studied them carefully. The council didn't seem to value human participation when they ignored our warnings about New Haven. "Which is why," Zorthak said, producing a data crystal, "I brought this." The evidence was damning. Secret communications between the Elugian chairperson and the Drakari Emperor, a deal struck in darkness, allow the Drakari to destroy one human colony, push humans to leave the council, then divide former human territories between council leadership and the Drakari. They never expected the full collapse, Zorthak explained. They thought they could control the Drakari expansion. 2 days later, Lisa stood before the United Earth Senate, presenting the evidence and the aliens' desperate plea for humanity's return. "The galaxy is falling apart," she concluded. "And now we know why we were pushed out." Senator Paul Clark, once the strongest voice against re-engagement, looked shaken. "What do these aliens want from us now?" "Nothing less than our return to council space," Lisa answered, "but on our terms this time." Meanwhile, in his hidden laboratory, Dr. Benjamin Grant made a discovery that changed everything. His team had successfully created a stable quantum displacement field, technology that could allow ships to travel instantly between any 2 points in space. "It works," he whispered as the test probe vanished and reappeared across the room. "It actually works." His colleague Dr. Ellen Morris looked at the readings with wide eyes. "This makes warp drive obsolete. Whoever controls this technology controls the galaxy." What they didn't know was that Drakari spies had been watching. A stealth ship was already moving toward their hidden station, carrying elite Drakari commandos. On Earth, Admiral Olivia Ward received an urgent communication from Intelligence Officer Jack Rogers. "We've detected unusual activity near the Proxima star system," Jack reported. Energy signatures that matched descriptions from Dr. Grant's last official communication before he went dark. Olivia immediately understood the significance. Grant's team stayed behind. "And if they've succeeded, then everyone will want what they've built," Jack finished. Within hours, Olivia had assembled a small, elite team led by Major Natalie Jones of Earth Special Forces. "This is strictly extraction," Olivia told them. "Get in, get Grant's team and their research. Get out. No engagement with Drakari forces unless absolutely necessary." Natalie saluted. "Understood, Admiral. We'll bring them home." As her team prepared for departure, public opinion on Earth remained divided. News of the conspiracy behind New Haven's destruction had sparked outrage, but many humans still felt betrayed by the Council as a whole. "Why should we help them?" demanded protesters outside the Senate building. "Let the galaxy solve its own problems." But for the first time in over a year, serious discussions about human re-engagement with galactic affairs had begun. In orbit above Dr. Grant's hidden lab, the Drakari command ship dropped out of warp. Commander Vex studied the small research station. "Begin the assault," he ordered. "I want Grant and his research intact." As Drakari troops prepared to board the station, neither they nor Dr. Grant's team knew that human special forces were racing toward them, or that the fate of the galaxy might hinge on who reached the quantum displacement technology first. The diplomatic game had begun, but it might be science and soldiers, not words, that would determine the future. 3 years after humanity's withdrawal, the Galactic Council officially dissolved. What had once been the proud center of interstellar cooperation was now an empty chamber. The last meeting ended in a fistfight between the Zentari and Mogduth delegates. On a view screen in her office, Secretary Lisa Martinez watched the final moments of the council with mixed feelings. "So it's finally over," she said to Jack Rogers, who had been promoted to her chief intelligence advisor. "The galaxy is now divided into 4 competing alliances," Jack reported. "And the Drakari Empire controls nearly 1/3 of what was council space." But worse news was coming. A mysterious plague had begun spreading across multiple systems. The disease attacked neural pathways, causing victims to lose control of their bodies before falling into coma and death. On the medical world of Centauri Prime, Dr. Sarah Wilson, one of the few human doctors who had stayed in council space, worked desperately to find a cure. Another 300 cases today, her assistant reported. Sarah studied the disease samples through her microscope. Something about the virus structure bothered her. "This doesn't look natural," she muttered. "The protein chains are too perfect." Her suspicion grew. This was no accident of nature. Someone had engineered this plague. Meanwhile, Major Natalie Jones and her Special Forces team had finally located Dr. Grant's hidden station, but they arrived to find destruction. Trachery forces had attacked first. Natalie moved carefully through the wrecked laboratory, weapon ready. "Search for survivors," she ordered her team. In a hidden compartment beneath the main lab, they found Dr. Grant and Dr. Morris, both injured but alive. "They took everything," Ben said weakly. "All our research." "Not everything," Ellen whispered, pulling a small data core from inside her jacket. "I saved the key breakthrough when the alarm sounded." On the journey back to Earth space, Major Jones studied the station's security footage. Something caught her eye in the final moments before the Trachery attack. "Freeze that image," she ordered the ship's computer. The screen showed a Trachery commando carrying the strange container. "Enhance Sector 4." The image zoomed in, revealing a biohazard symbol on the container. "Dr. Grant," Natalie asked, "was your team working on biological research too?" Ben looked confused. "No, only quantum physics." Natalie's blood ran cold as she connected the dots. The plague. The Trachery aren't just taking technology. They are using biological weapons to weaken resistance across the galaxy. She immediately sent an encrypted message to Earth. Hours later, Admiral Ward called an emergency meeting with Secretary Martinez and the Earth Defense Council. "The evidence suggests the Trachery are behind the plague," Olivia explained. "And they now have part of Dr. Grant's quantum displacement technology." "What exactly does this technology do?" asked Senator Clark. Dr. Grant, still recovering from his injuries, stood slowly. "It allows instantaneous travel between any 2 points in space. No warp drive, no jump gates. Just appear wherever you want to be." The implications stunned everyone present. With such technology, the Trachery could appear inside any defense perimeter, attack without warning, and vanish before response was possible. "This changes everything," Lisa said quietly. "If the Trachery perfect this technology before we do." She didn't need to finish the thought. Humanity's isolation would mean nothing. No border would be safe. Admiral Ward moved to the central display. "Intelligence reports massive Trachery fleet movements near our borders. I believe they're preparing for a major offensive." "How long do we have?" asked the defense minister. "Days, maybe hours." As the meeting concluded, Lisa pulled Jack aside. "What about the plague samples Dr. Wilson was studying?" Jack's expression was grim. "Confirmed as engineered. But there's more. The base code sequence matches an old human medical research project from before we left the council. They're using our own research against the galaxy," Lisa whispered. The crisis had escalated beyond politics, beyond borders. Now it threatened all sentient life, human and alien alike. And the final confrontation was rapidly approaching. William Carter stood before the towering windows of the Galactic Council chamber. The vastness of space stretched out beyond the glass, stars twinkling like distant hopes. But today, those hopes were dying. "The Council has reached its decision," announced the Centauri representative, his blue skin glowing under the chamber lights. "Humanity is too dangerous to remain among civilized species." Lisa Morgan, Earth's chief diplomat, stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "The people of Earth have only sought peaceful cooperation," she said. "We have followed every regulation since first contact." The council chamber held representatives from over 30 alien civilizations. None would meet her eyes. 10 years ago, Humans have been welcomed with caution into the Galactic Alliance of Advanced Species. Now they've faced banishment. Your kind develops weapons before medicine, rumbled the massive Krell delegate. You think of conquest before cooperation. That's not fair, Carter said, his fists clenched. Humanity has changed. We've shared our music, our art. And your military tactics, interrupted a thin, gray-skinned alien. Your entertainment glorifies violence. Your history is written in blood. Morgan tried again. If we could just have more time to demonstrate. The vote is final, the Zentari said. Humanity will be confined to your home system. You may keep Earth, Mars, and the settled moons of Jupiter. A barrier will be established. Any attempt to breach it will result in immediate destruction. Carter felt the blood drain from his face. You're imprisoning an entire species. We are protecting the galaxy, corrected the Zentari. You have 3 standard cycles to recall all off-world humans. As the council filed out, Morgan collapsed into her chair. They planned this from the beginning, she whispered. All those years of cooperation were just to study us. And decide we're too unpredictable, Carter added bitterly. On the journey back to Earth, their ship was the last human vessel allowed through Alliance space. Carter watched from the observation deck as other human ships raced toward Sol, a forced migration unlike anything in human history. What will we tell everyone? Morgan asked, joining him by the viewport. The truth, said Carter. That fear defeated diplomacy today. The ship's captain, Alan Beck, entered with a grim expression. We just received word. The barrier construction has begun. 3 days later, they watched it happen. From orbit around Earth, the barrier appeared as a faint shimmer, like heat rising from pavement. It encircled their solar system completely, cutting them off from the rest of the galaxy. Earth's response was chaos at first. Riots in major cities, markets crashing. Then, slowly, determination grew. 1 month after the barrier went up, Carter attended an emergency session of the United Earth Government. Scientists reported their findings on the barrier technology. It's beyond our current understanding, said Dr. Frank Wilson, chief physicist, but we can learn from it. President Samantha Hayes stood before the assembly. Today we face the greatest challenge in human history. We are trapped, limited, condemned as too dangerous to exist beyond our cradle. The room fell silent. But they've made a critical mistake, she continued. They judged us by our past, not our potential. They feared our differences instead of valuing them. She looked around the room. They've given us something precious, unity of purpose. Carter felt something stir within him. Not hope, exactly. Something stronger. They think they've contained us, the president said. Instead, they've concentrated us. Every human mind, every resource, every dream now focused on a single goal. Morgan leaned toward Carter. They should have killed us when they had the chance. Carter nodded slowly. 3,000 years of human history proves one thing. What's that? Morgan asked. We're at our most dangerous when someone tells us what we can't do. Outside, beyond the barrier, the galaxy continued, believing the human problem solved. They couldn't have been more wrong.